The one with Joey's bag is the 13th episode of the 5th season of Friends, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. My notes are grouped by part of the narrative. We have 3 main parts of the narrative. But honestly, I don't love this episode. I don't dislike it. There's nothing about it I don't like. If I'm binge watching Friends, I won't skip it. But it doesn't really have that many moments in it that I absolutely adore. So it's fine. We get some moving moments between Phoebe and, well, a character who comes into it, but I'll talk about those in a moment. Those moments. But in general, it's fine. I don't mind it. So as I said, there will be spoilers from now. And we start off with Monica giving Chandler a massage. Well, actually, we start off with Chandler giving Monica a massage. He then fiddles with the timer, so it's his turn. And Monica says she gives the best massages. So Chandler is obviously looking forward to this. And it hurts. It hurts a lot. And when I said there's not a lot in this that I love, I do love something Chandler says to the point where I say this if I have muscular pain. Monica says, say goodbye to sore muscles, and Chandler says, goodbye, muscles. And I must say that every couple of months, which probably says more about the state of my muscles than it does anything else, but I absolutely love that. Monica is unaware that she's causing Chandler pain, and she then, a little later on, because of what Phoebe's going through, and we'll talk about that in a moment, she goes to give Phoebe a shoulder massage, and Phoebe recoils, and she tells her to never do that again. And Phoebe, as a masseuse, knows what a proper massage should feel like. And Monica says, what are you talking about? Everybody else loves them. Rachel loved them until she became allergic, which I think is fantastic. And she points out that Chandler loves them, and she starts massaging Chandler. And Chandler has to admit that it hurts. And Monica says to him, and it took me a second, obviously because I've seen the episodes after this, I know what happens, but it took me a second to realise the issue, because Monica said the minute we start to lie to each other, and it did take me a little while to realise, hang on, nobody else, well, actually Rachel and Joey know they're in a relationship, but nobody else really knows about their relationship apart from Joey, so why would she be concerned that Chandler's lying to her? She saved it by saying, and by we, I mean society. But I think that was definitely very well done. And Chandler, a little later on, comes to apologise to her for not being truthful, and he manages to turn things around. And I love this, and I think this is so great, because Monica, as she admits, needs to be the best at everything. So Chandler decides to say, you're the best at giving bad massages. And I thought that was a really positive way to turn things around and make Monica feel a little bit better. It was very sweet. I really liked that. The part of the episode with the title, of course, focuses on Joey's new bag. This actually comes about because he has a hat in Central Perk, and Chandler decides to put the basket on his head, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. And Rachel actually helps him to get a new outfit so he looks better for his audition, and she suggests he wears a bag. And actually, another takeaway, I may not love this episode, but there are a few takeaways for me. She says that the bag is unisex, and she explains you and I sex, but Joey thinks she says you and I sex. And whenever I read the word unisex, that scene is in my head, so it sticks with me. It may not be my favourite episode, but there are a few things that I've taken away from it. And she gives him the bag, he goes to the audition, it doesn't work. It doesn't go according to plan. It wasn't so much the fact that he had the bag, it's the fact that he was so obsessed with carrying it and started to talk about it, and he displayed a bizarre behaviour. So it wasn't the bag's fault, it was Joey's behaviour. But I liked the bag. I thought it looked pretty decent. And the episode ends with Rachel convincing Joey that he needs to give up the bag, which I don't think should have been the case, because it's a good bag. And I feel like maybe today this episode wouldn't have worked quite as well, as I feel like men carrying bags, it's a lot more common, particularly because they carry around laptops and things. So it's a much more common thing to see. But certainly at the time, I can imagine it would have been a little bit more controversial, at least a little bit more rare. But I liked it. I thought he looked good with the bag. And then we come to the part of the episode that's a little bit more emotional. Phoebe's grandmother died. That's not the emotional part. And they have the funeral. They managed to get some comedy out of it by making them wear 3D glasses. And then somebody comes to the funeral and he introduces himself as Frank Buffay. He's played by Balaban, and Phoebe doesn't tell him that she's Phoebe because she needs time to process this, that she's just met her father. Absolutely incredible. And she meets him in Central Park under the guise of being the executor of her grandmother's will. And she gives him a used lipstick. And he then says something that I knew it was coming, of course, I've seen it before, but even then I think it took me by surprise when he had something in his hand and he gave it to Phoebe and said, "Will you give Lily that?" He didn't know Lily was dead. Didn't know she died 17 years ago. And he's clearly overcome with emotion, and he asks about the girls, and Phoebe explains Ursula is a waitress and Phoebe is on this couch. And it's a really moving moment, and it's very, very well done. And Frank goes to sit on the sofa next to Phoebe, and he explains he was a lousy father. He made a song up to help her sleep, but it made her worse. And the song, of course, is sleepy girl, why won't you go to sleep? Sleepy girl, you're keeping me up. He kind of sings it a little bit, definitely the tune of Smelly Cat. And I think that that's lovely, that even though he wasn't in her life, he gave her this beautiful gift of the tune to Smelly Cat. And I just think it's absolutely wonderful. And it's a difficult time for Phoebe, but she is obviously happy to see her father. I think she's probably very emotionally overwhelmed at this point, but I think the episode did a really great job of kind of showing all of the different, or some of the different emotions that Phoebe would be feeling, and I have nothing but praise for it. So in all, it is a good episode. I've praised everything about it. Nothing is badly done, and there are a couple of quotes that have stuck with me for 20-something years, which is pretty special. The one with Joey's bag might not be an all-time favourite, but I still love it. Personal highlights, absolutely Chandler saying goodbye muscles, and you and I sex, just because whenever I read the word or hear the word, I picture Joey and Rachel, which makes me very happy. But of course, the story focusing on Phoebe and Frank Buffay is definitely the most emotional and the most well-developed and written part of the episode. It's great. I can't fault it. The one with Joey's bag might not be a personal favourite, but at the end of the day, I still enjoy it. And if I were to be binge-watching season 5, I'm definitely not going to be skipping this episode at all.